Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. 5 breakout players for the Clemson Tigers heading into the 2024 season. And this was a blast to prepare for and kind of just take a look at this Clemson depth chart, take a look at the roster, and kind of find some of those players that I think made some strides in 2023, but I think could break out onto the scene in 2024. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it has been a blast talking this program, doing position deep dives, covering what Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers have done on the recruiting trail. The amount of support you guys continue to show means the world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, the best part about doing these type of things is learning from you guys heading into spring practice. If you guys have some names that I might be sleeping on, but you have as breakout players, drop them in the comment section. We'll chop it up there. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with my number one breakout candidate, and that is linebacker Wade Woodz. I love the trajectory where Wade is going with kind of like who he is as a player, right? He comes in from the state of Florida as kind of a jumbo safety, right? Came in around 6'3", 210 pounds, puts the weight on, gets up to 230 pounds. And I thought Wade Woodz was phenomenal for Clemson in 2023. And I just don't think enough people were talking about him. When you're talking about two of the best linebackers in college football with Jeremiah Trotter and Barry Carter, and I think Wade Woodz kind of just flew under the radar. You talk about the things that really impressed me for Wade Woodz. One is the athleticism that he brings to that linebacker spot. I mean, you're talking about a guy that played a lot of safety at the high school level, and you see that come up as he plays that linebacker position, right? Extremely comfortable dropping back into coverage, playing man coverage on running backs and tight ends, but also really good at operating in space and going out to the flat, tackling running backs, carrying tight ends up the seam. That's kind of what you're looking for in that modern day linebacker at the college football level, as teams are trying to spread you out, get as much speed on the field as they can. Having linebackers that can go sideline to sideline, operate in space is absolutely vital. And I think Wade Woodz did a phenomenal job doing that. Now, the concern is, okay, he's a little undersized, which not really anymore. He got up to 230 pounds, but certainly doesn't play undersized. This is a guy that plays with speed, but also plays with a lot of physicality. Only missed 8.7% of his tackles. That's an extremely good number for a linebacker. And here's the kicker. In the run game, an average depth of tackle of 1.6 yards down the field. What does that tell you about Wade Woodz? He is getting downhill. He's making his plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. Also a phenomenal blitzer. This is a guy that you'll see him come off the edge. You'll see him get sent in the A and B gaps. You look at what you want in a modern day linebacker. I think Wade Woodz checks off a lot of those boxes. And many of you guys who've listened to me talk about linebackers, I love linebackers that make that transition from that safety position because they just get how to operate in space. They know how to play in coverage. Wade Woodz, a guy that played really well in 2023. I'm kind of pushing the envelope in terms of breakout candidates, but a guy that I think is going to be an all-conference linebacker for the Clemson Tigers in 2024. Next one I want to talk about, this is kind of a two-for-one here, and that's Peyton Page, but I also want to give a shout-out to DeMonte Capehart as well. Again, a lot of the conversation went to guys like Tyler Davis, the returners, the NFL talent, or guys like Peter Woodz, the true freshman All-American. Peyton Page and DeMonte Capehart, you talk about what makes this Clemson Tigers defense so good and why they've been so good for the last decade. I think it starts up front, and not only with the star talent, but the depth that they always have. And guys like Peyton Page and DeMonte Capehart, although not starters for Clemson in that 2023 year, were phenomenal depth players who I think are going to kind of take on more of a role in 2024. You look at Peyton Page, really good pass rusher from the inside, 12 quarterback hurries, a 15.3% pass rush win rate. I thought he looked phenomenal against South Carolina. This is a guy that I think you're going to see just a little bit of a breakout year for Peyton Page, but also DeMonte Capehart, who I think is probably not as good of a pass rusher as Peyton Page, but I think probably a little bit better of a run defender. You look at, I think a lot of maybe casual college football fans look at, all right, Ruco, Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas going to the NFL, writing off what this Clemson defensive line is going to look like in 2024. I mean, TJ Parker, Peter Woodz, Vic Burley coming back from injury. You have Peyton Page, DeMonte Capehart. This defensive line is still going to be one of the better units that we see, not only in the ACC, but in the country. And I think Peyton Page, DeMonte Capehart, guys who kind of have waited in the wings the last couple of years, I think are going to burst out onto the scene in that 2024 year. Next position I want to go to, and this is, I mean, arguably, you talk about most impactful breakout players for this Clemson program. I think Troy Stellato is one of those names where he's a guy that I love coming out of high school, one of the fastest players in that 2021 class, absolute burners, a 4.4 40 kind of guy. You look at why I think Troy Stellato is so important for this Clemson offense in 2024. You guys have heard me say this. I've been extremely critical of what that passing attack looked like in 2023 in terms of just not getting the ball down the field. You take a look at the numbers. This Clemson offense only averaged 4.9 yards per play. That was 103rd, but more importantly, only 6 yards per pass attempt. That was 121st. This Clemson team really struggled to push the ball down the field. You look at that one wide receiver who I think, one, if he stays healthy, is going to be very good, but more importantly, bring something to this Clemson offense that you just didn't have in 2023. That is Troy Stellato. This is a guy that has a big frame, tracks the ball extremely well down the field, but at the end of the day is just one of the fastest players on the field. If Troy Stellato emerges as that wide receiver that really can take the top off of a defense, I'm a little less concerned about what the stat sheet looks like for Troy Stellato, but more importantly, if he can be that effective threat, that's just going to open up this Clemson Tigers offense a little bit more, because you got to have guys like Tyler Brown and Antonio Williams who can really work underneath, really good after the catch. If you have that wide receiver that safeties have to respect down the field, which there just really wasn't last year, I think that is not only going to mean massive things for attacking the deeper third, but more importantly, opening up this offense, getting your players a little bit more space to operate in after the catch. And that is really what that Garrett Riley offense is predicated on. If Troy Stellato stays healthy, I think he can be an elite vertical threat for the Clemson Tigers, and that is absolutely sorely needed for this Clemson offense heading into 2024. Sign me up for Troy Stellato staying healthy and being that breakout wide receiver. And you have guys like TJ Moore and Brian Wesco who also can stretch that field that are coming in as well. Next guy I want to go to, another guy that you just got to stay healthy and you're looking at an all-conference kind of dude, is Jaden Lucas. And the Clemson fans that have been rocking with the boys for over a year, this has been like one of my guys. And again, hard to get on the field with guys like Nate Wiggins last year. Jaden Lucas, when he is playing, is really good. From a physical trait standpoint, he checks off all the boxes that you want, right? 6'2.5", 200 pounds, extremely physical cornerback that has a track background, that can run with wide receivers down the field, long speed, ball skills, physicality. Those are kind of the three pillars that you want at that cornerback position. Jaden Lucas checks the box on all three. And I think the real question is, all right, can you stay healthy? Jaden Lucas is going to have his work cut out for him, because you have a lot of young cornerbacks that played extremely well for the Clemson Tigers in 2023. Jaden Lucas is that guy that, if he stays healthy, puts together 12, 13, 14 games of good football. Again, I think you're looking at an all-conference caliber cornerback in Jaden Lucas. Just got to stay healthy. Now, the last one that we're going to, and this is kind of breaking the rule here of breakout players, but running back Phil Maffa. And again, I'm in my basement talking into my microphone alone. I can stretch the rules if I want here. Phil Maffa at the running back position was phenomenal for the Clemson Tigers last year. And I've kind of talked at length about this. This has nothing to do with any disrespect to Will Shipley, one of my favorite Clemson Tiger players. Phil Maffa was straight up the better running back for the Clemson Tigers in 2023. You look at some of the numbers, 5.4 yards per carry. More importantly, 3.7 yards after contact, 40 missed tackles on the year. This is a bruising running back. And you look at how Clemson wants to run the football. They want to be efficient. They want to be downhill. They want to be physical. And what I think is, excuse me, most important about Phil Maffa is he's one of those running backs that I think is going to get better when he gets more carries, because he's going to wear on a defense. You don't want to tackle a guy like Phil Maffa 20, 25 times per game and you look at last year kind of splitting the load with Will Shipley, Phil Maffa didn't really have that opportunity all the time to really impose his will on defenses for 4 quarters. You look at this running back room in 2024, yeah, you have some question marks about maybe the depth behind Phil Maffa. You don't have question marks about this running back one. I think Phil Maffa is going to be a guy that might get 300 carries for the Clemson Tigers, be a guy that goes for over 1,200 yards on the ground, and most importantly, a guy that establishes that physical running game that the Clemson Tigers are looking for. Again, you want to make this offense as easy as you can on Cade Klubnik, a guy that we know has the talent. You just have to make sure that he's comfortable. Having a run game that is not only going to be dominant, but more importantly, help you stay on schedule, avoid those 3rd and long situations, is going to be massive for Cade Klubnik. I think Phil Maffa is that guy. Phenomenal contact balance, extremely physical ball carrier, but also a guy that when he gets to the second level can make people miss and be a dangerous running back in space as well. If you get the improvement from the offensive line that I think we're going to get with Matt Luke being in that offensive line room, sign me up for Phil Maffa. Again, he ran for 900 yards last year. This isn't really a breakout guy, but I think he's going to be a guy that is probably going for 1,300 yards for the Clemson Tigers if he does stay healthy. Not really a breakout player, but I think is going to take another step in the right direction in 2024. A lot of names I just had to leave off the list because they have you want to put in guys like TJ Parker or Peter Woodz. They already broke out in 2023. So that's not me saying they're not going to be breakout players. That's more me saying, yeah, we already know those dudes are all conference, all American caliber players. This Clemson team flying under the radar. Many of the Clemson fans who listen to our college football playoff kind of prediction were a little, I guess, frustrated because I didn't take Clemson to make the college football playoffs. The more I dive into this roster, the more you kind of understand that this is a very, very talented football team. And I just texted my brother. If this offense takes some strides in 2024, you're looking at a team that certainly can win the ACC, be dangerous in the college football playoffs because the talent around this roster is loaded. It's young. Really excited about it. Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section as well. Some breakout players that I might be sleeping on that you think are going to take some strides in 2024. Appreciate y'all rocking with the fellas. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.